hello. Happy Wednesday. I'm so glad to be here. It's been a busy time. I'm trying something new, everybody, because I can't seem to read the comments because I have trouble actually. I'm kind of blind. So we're going to invite Wendy. And I've got another camera set up here. So if you see me looking to the left, it's because I'm trying to read your comments at the same time. All right, so let me invite Wendy.
Let's see. I think it's turning. Let's try this again. There we go. Good morning, Wendy.
Good
morning. Good
afternoon, young lady.
Well, it's still noon, so it's still early. So one, I want to thank you so much for being a Sober is the New Cool ambassador. You represent Sober is the New Cool with such kindness. And, I was witness to it. I'm going to probably cry here, everybody, because sometimes you look at people's Instagram pages and you think, wow, it's so glamorous and wow, they're having so much fun. And yes, we do. But this past week, we were in New York City for the Break Free Gala. We were both walking in a fashion show. We were excited to see one another. Everything was going spectacularly well. We met people we had never met. Wendy was giving out her book to people. And all of a sudden, it was just Wendy and I, two young girls, and in walks this lovely young girl. I'm not going to say her name because it's all between us five that were in the room. But Wendy had one copy of her book left. This young girl started to say that what I say on the internet and on these reels, she feels like I'm talking directly to her and she struggles. All of a sudden, to my right, there comes my Wendy with a copy of her book, holding the other girl's hand, and the other two young girls that were there. It was just a love fest. So now, Wendy, I'm going to let you talk about it because I can't say any more without crying because it was such a moment, and I was so taken aback, and you came and you rescued me and her and the other two girls. So with that, Wendy, you tell the story your way.
Well, you're going to make me cry now because I believe there are no coincidences, there are only God incidences. And I brought to the event like 20 or 30 books, and there were a lot of the girls that were there that I just met for the first time, some of them I've connected with on Instagram, and seeing them in person was like amazing, like to hug them and connect and see you. I've seen you at a couple events and you're such a special person, and I'm so blessed that I met you because all the wonderful things that you do to help people, they're sincere, and I like to stick with the winners, and you're one of them. So I just thank you for your love and kindness. And it was interesting because I was giving, the girls that were in the fashion show, I was, autographing the books and giving them, away. And I don't know why, but I saved one book. And, I could have given it because there was somebody else there that was walking in, but for some reason I held it back. And then, like you said, maybe it was like an hour later after I was giving out the books, I saw this young girl and she was talking to you and you were trying to help her. And you were so sweet because you said to her, oh, why don't you message me every day with a gratitude? If you're okay with that, can you do that? Because yes, gratitude lists help. It really does. Even if you don't really feel it, writing it down first thing in the day, like the beginning of the day, 5 things, I'm thankful for, totally help me, help my clients. I facilitated an intensive outpatient group for 18 years. And in that group, I always made sure within the 6 weeks that we did a gratitude list. And what we used to do was A through Z. And we used to laugh because some of them were Q-tips, for Q, zippers, it was just like fun. So gratitude lists totally help. And you told her, please, send me a message. And you said, if you're comfortable, right?
Yes.
Because that's key. And when I, saw her, I got my book. I said, please spell your name for me. And I wrote it down and I wrote her a little message because I like to write a little message. Usually it's self-care isn't selfish or no is a complete sentence, which are chapter titles in my book. And she was like crying. And like you said, the other two girls that I've given books to, they were also, I guess, in their they were 30, late 28, 30, and they were like, oh my God, we're listening to you. And we're so happy you gave us this book because we're reading it and we're like, oh my God, she gets me. She understands me. And, when I wrote the book, I wrote it because I was thinking of millennial women in my mind when I wrote it 3 years ago. But so many people love it. And, it was the first book I wrote and I self-published it. And honestly, I'm not proud of it because I didn't know what I didn't know. Like, oh, I should have self-published it, or the editor I have didn't edit it the way it should have been edited. Perfectionism is part of addiction, not a good thing. Never feeling good enough. And you were like, shots, huh? But I did it, and that's why everyone says, oh, write another one. And maybe I will. But like you were saying, this girl, like you never know who you're gonna touch.
Yeah.
And that's why I keep posting on the Instagram and Facebook, because it does get exhausting and draining. But I love giving. And being in recovery for 25 years, like you, in recovery, it's just like a natural thing. Just giving love and helping others lights me up. I'm a little selfish there because I feel good, right, when I help other people. And now this girl and I have been messaging each other on Instagram. So there are all good things about Instagram, like everything is good and bad. It can become an addiction as well. So I have to be careful about that also.
But didn't you also find that the two young girls that you had given the book to in the previous hour, which this is where I really thought, wow, this is like really like that ripple effect, because you had given them the book, they were very happy, blah, blah, blah. But until this other young girl came in and was so vulnerable, and she shared her sadnesses and her issues that she was going through.
Right.
And there was such a, I swear there was like an aura in the room, and it was like nobody else was there. And then as soon as she stopped talking, those two other young women that were there were also able to finally tell you and me all things that they had been feeling. And to me, that's what it's all about, that if I share and you share and everybody gets rid of this shame, then somebody goes, oh, me too, oh, me too. And then they can also say it because somebody else has said it before them. And that's why I love your book, because it's easy to read, it's to the point, and it's something you can remember. Your life, your rules. It's all about, it comes back, to me, it's a perfect book, so sorry. But I think it's brilliant. But it's easy things to remember. It's not complicated. It's like your life, your rules. It comes back to you, right?
Yes.
No is a full sentence.
Yes.
So as much as I loved everything that went on, all the wonderful people we met that night, Mary Alice, Carola, Sheila was there. There were so many women that came from Tanya, that came from Montreal with me. There were so many people that were wonderful. Eve Goldberg. I mean, I can't say enough. And it seemed like every time I turned around, in the middle, the beginning, and the end, another woman was connecting with another woman in that circle that we had created. And to me, I think we're going to be lifelong friends. I think, just the way that every time I've been to an event and I've introduced you to somebody I've known, you've turned around and helped them in some way. So maybe you can give people, because now it's November, Sober October is over. What do you tell people?
You know, it's interesting when you're talking about the connection, because addiction is really about isolation. And recovery is about connection. And like you said, which I have goosebumps right now, when those two girls shared with this other young girl, that's how it works. It's like a domino effect. So you never know. And that's why I love support groups, because you connect with other people. And once you hear somebody say that, you're like, oh, wow, I feel the same way. I'm not crazy. You know, somebody else feels that way. And it's just so wonderful to be open-minded. You know, now that we have Zoom, you know, I always think of the pandemic. There were so many wonderful things that came out of it. And I am sorry for those that have lost, you know, loved ones and that are still sick, you know, from the pandemic and COVID. But I saw that, oh my God, there are Zoom meetings now. So if you're shy, hey, go on a Zoom meeting. You don't even have to show your face. You can just listen and identify. And I actually, for Break Free, I do facilitate a smart recovery group, which is twice a month. It's I think it's November 8th will be one, and the next is 2 weeks after. I'm not exact sure. I could look at the date of the calendar. And just check it out. Just come. It's free. You have nothing to lose. You don't even have to put on your camera. So the most important thing is, you know, stepping out of our comfort zone. And we don't like to do that. Change, nobody likes change. But you know, if you think about it, there's change every day. The weather. So how do you do? Oh, okay, I'm going to put my raincoat on. It's raining, right? Really simple. It doesn't have to be that complicated. Oh, there's a Zoom meeting? Hey, let me check it out. And there's a link in my bio. You can go on Break Free, which is a nonprofit. And that's where we were at that fundraiser event and just meeting like-minded people. And you never know when you're there and you share something, even saying your name, somebody else will be, oh, well, they shared their name. They were brave. I can do it. And it's just a wonderful community. And I just feel so blessed that I met you and all the other people that I've met on Instagram and Facebook, because we are really the chosen ones. I really, you know, really feel blessed that I am an addict in recovery for 25 years. And my whole life changed because of it. So I don't know if you see anybody with comments or anybody.
No, I'm trying to see, but you know, I'm blind as a bat. So
well,
I'm going to ask,
glasses, I can put my
even with my
on.
glasses, they write it so small, Wendy, you can barely see. So that's why I ask anybody that has a question to send us a message afterwards, because we're happy to answer. You know, and then the other thing I was saying, you know, like I know that all these events that happen, you know, there's coffee events, there's all kinds of events going on in so many different places. I would urge people to go. I know it's scary. I know it's hard for people to walk in alone or to feel like, you know, if they're judged or whatever is going on. But trust me, one, these nonprofits that create these events, they make almost no money. Basically, they're just giving back to you, number one. So if you have the chance to go to an event that you'd like to, it's really, really fun, number one. You don't know who you're going to meet. I think, or at least for us, I believe we're going to be friends till the day we die.
I know.
And all the women that were with us that evening. So to me, I think it's really important that with November and the holidays coming up, and you know, all these triggers and parties and what's going on and who's doing what. And, okay, I did 30 days now. Do I continue? Yes, try. If you feel that much better and you're somewhere, don't you question that word? Like if you're questioning how you drink, there's a problem or something?
Yes, that's what I think. Last time we did a live event, which was I think last year we did one. And I always say, if you think you have a problem, you usually do, right? And yes, the holidays, but every day, right? Because, you know, I used to drink at 5 o'clock at the end of the day and think, oh, that was fine. you know, so I have 1, 2, 3, you know, and then wake up exhausted and I go to the gym and I look great on the outside. But you know how you feel if you're honest, and you can only feel better. So you don't have to wait till January 1st, because that's actually my sober date. You don't have to do that. It's a new year, a new beginning. You can do it now, today, because there's help out there. Like you said, you know, you go to a meeting. If you have to go to a party, you take your own car. So you could leave. Really simple. Simple things. When you're at a party, always have a drink. Oh, I have something. Thank you.
Oh, smart. I didn't think of that.
Also, you could have a Diet Coke if you'd like, or cranberry club soda is my favorite thing. And I just hold my glass around. And interesting enough, I put 2 straws in it because one time I asked the bartender at this party for a cranberry club and they gave me vodka. So, you know, also I've heard people like put their drink down and they pick up the wrong drink. So if you put 2 straws or maybe a lime and a lemon to know it's yours.
Very good idea.
You know, it's a really, you know, you have to protect yourself and protect your sobriety and be careful, you know, where you are or who you're with. And that's why I said you can leave early, you're uncomfortable. I always like to also tell my clients, if you have to go to a party or a wedding or an event, you could always tell the host or hostess, I just want to give you a heads up, I might have to leave early. You know, and you can go late and leave early, do the opposite, right? Because in the beginning of cocktail hour, that could be a little challenging at a wedding, because that's all what it's about, the, you know, the hors d'oeuvres and drinking. So yes, there's Thanksgiving and there are a lot of triggers with family. I love my family, but I heard somebody say in the rooms, family is the F word, you know? So it's like, you have to be careful because they know which buttons to push. So you close the panel and say, oh, they're not going to push those buttons today, and really be grounded and centered. And I believe bubble wrapping yourself, meditating before going to an event, and have phone numbers that you can call to call people if you're uncomfortable. There are a lot of tools and strategies that you can do to protect yourself over the holidays or every day, really.
And you know, like to me too, because it's smart that you said every day, because now it's football season. And I know, you know, the tailgate parties and the this and the that. And you know, if you miss half the game because you're bummed, what's the point of watching the game, kind of thing, right? So I think that's another way of looking at it too, never missing another memory. And one thing I'd really like to make sure that we focus on to all women and men, I hope that you're open to see what we see in you. Because what we see in you, you probably see in us. And it's always easier to see the good in everybody else but ourselves.
You know what? It's so funny because I've once heard, if you spot it, you got it.
Oh, wow, that's good.
And that goes both ways, right? If you see someone that's spiritual and you're like, oh, they're very spiritual, I wish I was more spiritual. Well, you're spiritual too if you saw it in them, right? Or if you see somebody that's not behaving properly, then you have to look at yourself. Oh, you know what? Do I feel triggered? Yeah, I used to be that way, or I could be that way, or I don't want to be that way. So people are mirrors of who you are. And because, you know, I got sober, I was able to go back to graduate school and become a social worker and a certified addiction specialist and live my dream, because I always wanted to be a therapist when I was in my 20s.
Really?
I never did it because my first husband was like, no, you're going to stay home and have children. And 22, what did I know? I didn't know who I was. And luckily, because I was sober, I was able to change. And that's what sobriety does. If you give it a chance, you never know what you could have happen in your life. If you're drinking, you really can't do it. You really can't make those changes. Because, you know, drinking is all based on like fear. If you have a problem, look, some people could drink safely. I'm not saying that, but you know, if you can't, right? And there's so many things and wonderful people you will meet. So I would say give it a chance. It's not healthy for you anyway. You have nothing to lose. And I always say too, if you can't stop, then you might have a problem. Because I've heard people say, I don't need to stop. I'm functioning. And I'll say, oh, well, are you functioning to your full potential? And you think about it. Oh, I think I am. And I challenge you. You know, could your relationships be better? Could you sleep better? Could you be happier? Because alcohol is a depressant. So you'll drink, right? Because you're anxious. And then the next morning you're more depressed.
And,
Right?
and you know, I think that, you know, to anyone that's there or listening to us or hears this tonight or tomorrow at another time, we are here, and we really are, aren't we, Wendy? This is what we do.
Yes.
We are happy to help. We are happy to find people in your neighborhood. We are happy to connect you. We are non-judgmental.
Correct. Correct. Because I always say, this other little saying, people that judge don't matter, and people that matter don't judge. And we are both here for you. I also, you know, just as a little sidebar, I have a coaching program, and I coach people one-on-one. If you're interested, we could do a blueprint call. It's called the Happiness Sobriety System, which is an offshoot of the Happiness Signature System, also for family members that are struggling with their addictive loved ones. You know, how to cope, what strategies to use. Mm-hmm.
And Wendy, you know, I'm hearing a lot of people are coaches.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad you brought that up because, you know, you, number one, are 25 years sober. So that gives you a lot of expertise in what you're talking about, number one. And I'm not saying every coach has to be 25 years. So before anybody gets angry, that's not what I'm saying. I just would like to clarify, how do people, okay, because I think for some, when they're starting out especially, it does have to be one-on-one. They're shy, they're anxious, and it's hard to get into a group setting, not feeling, you know, when you're feeling so low. So how, I know that I know you, I can tell people to go see you because I know who you are. But for somebody that's out there, maybe there's some flags or something they should be looking for when they're looking for a coach. Because I have to say, all of a sudden, I have seen a lot of, I'm a coach all of a sudden, either a life coach or a sober coach or whatever coach. And I feel like sometimes I get a little worried about that. Because you really are helping or, you know, it's somebody's life you're dealing with. And that is very important that they choose the right person.
Correct. I agree. And as I told you earlier, I'm a licensed social worker. So my background is in mental health. That's how I started out 20 years ago, going back to graduate school. And I worked in the field, an intensive outpatient field, facilitating groups, seeing clients one-on-one for over 16 years. And once the pandemic started, I wrote the book and I started my own coaching program. And you have to look at the person and see what is their background, what have they done before?
Yes, okay.
Because just being sober, I mean, you could get mad at me. Look, you could be great, I'm not saying, but you have to look at the background. My background, like I said, I'm also a CASAC, a recovery coach. I took certifications, licenses, went to school. I'm constantly going to school and learning, you know, so I have a lot of therapeutic modalities, evidence-based research under my belt. So it's not like I just pulled something from the sky, you know, and I do a lot of work on myself. I'm in also, like I said, I am in recovery. I go to meetings. I sponsor people. I have a therapist. I've been in therapy myself. So I'm working on my stuff. So it's like you have to look at the whole person and say, well, what are they doing? That's great, they're a coach. And do I want what they have?
Yeah.
I'm not for everybody. And not everybody's for me either. And I just won't take people because some people will come to me and I'll say, you know what, I want to refer you elsewhere.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you need a rehab, maybe you need intensive outpatient. And as a one-on-one coach, I guide you. So my background have a lot of different, credentials behind me. And I am passionate.
Yeah, and that's why people have asked me, oh, you're a coach, and I am not a coach. I will find or I will connect people together. Like our Mary Alice that was with us, and I saw she's on her lunch hour. God bless her she's going to be a year sober very soon, so we have to say some congratulations for me. On the 19th. The 19th of November, so she'll be 1 year. So we're going to do something special for Mary Alice. And, I think that, Mary Alice does meetings too. Like she's doing some women meetings and doing other things. And for that's what I'm talking about. I may not be a life coach. I'm not going to pretend to be a sober coach. I will find you somebody who I think will go with what you need. And then it's up to you and the person that you choose. But I just would like to tell everybody to be careful when they are choosing someone, and to be sure that it's a safe space where they are sharing. And, because, I know that when my son got sick, we did see a lot of different therapists. It doesn't fit every single time. You have to find somebody that fits. Everybody's different. So find who fits with you, but make sure that the credentials are there, is all I'm trying to say.
Yes, because that's very important, like you said. And, I do offer, like I said, a free blueprint call to see if we do, connect together. And you can go onto my website, or, you can email me at Wendy at, what's my email?
We're going to put it.
My business one, okay. It's Wendy at wendybehar.com.
Okay.
That you could go, and also I have a link on my Instagram.
There you go.
You could just go on the link tree, and we can set up an appointment and we can talk. And if you don't even want to do the one-on-one coaching, the free blueprint call, that's fine too. You can just message me with any questions. I'm here just as a fellow person that wants to help you.
So now, Wendy, I like to do one thing at the end of all my little chats there. I ask people to say one positive word after I am, because I am into affirmations, and I believe that waking up to something positive and going to bed with a positive thought can help. So what is your one word today after I am?
I am enough.
You know what, Wendy? I love that you said that, because to me, you're so much more than enough, because you're so sweet and you're so kind and you're so genuine. Everybody who I introduced you to at this last event, they all said the same word, genuine.
So you like attracts like.
So with that said, I thank you for coming. I will put Wendy's information down. And like I said, Wendy is the real deal. Wendy will help. She's an angel sent from above as far as I'm concerned. And, we're just one bunch of lucky women and men that have been able to form this community. We were mostly women this past week in New York. But trust me, you're going to love us. So join us.
Thank you so much for having me. And thank you for being you. I love you.
I love you, Wendy. You too. Thanks, everybody, for coming, and have a great rest of the week. And remember, it's November. So if you have stopped drinking and you're feeling better, keep it up. You've got nothing to lose.
Right. And send us messages.
Yes. We're here. Bye, everybody.
Bye.